You are listening to the Nature's Premier Podcast, episode 61. Stress and how it affects you, your family, and your future. Here on the Nature's Premier Podcast, we talk about everything from bees to babies and sustainable living. Join us while we talk about natural parenting and different ways to live a more sustainable lifestyle for ourselves and our future generations to come. Now let's begin. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another episode here on the Nature's Premier Podcast. I am your host, Brooke Nichols, and I am beyond grateful to be here with you all today. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode. Now, today we're just going to jump into the show. It is an important one and one that everyone should listen to. So please do feel free to share this episode with anyone you know who is a mother, a father, who is a student, who is a singleton, who has pets, wherever you know, whoever you know, definitely share this episode because we're going to be talking about a topic that literally affects every single one of us. And it's a silent killer here in the United States. And that, my friends, is stress. Stress is a normal reaction the body has when changes occur. It can respond to these changes physically, mentally, or emotional. Stress is the body's reaction to any change that requires an adjustment or response. The body reacts to these changes with physical, mental, and emotional responses. Stress is a normal part of life. You can experience stress from your environment, your body, and your thoughts. Even positive life changes such as promotion, a mortgage, or the birth of a child produces stress. The human body is designed to experience stress and react from it. Stress can be positive, keeping us alert, motivated, and ready to avoid danger. Stress becomes negative when a person faces continuous challenges without relief or relaxation between stressors. As a result, the person becomes overworked and stress-related tension builds. The body's autonomic nervous system has a built-in stress response that causes physiological changes to allow the body to combat stressful situations. This stress response, also known as the fight or flight response, is activated in case of an emergency. However, this response can become chronically activated during prolonged periods of stress. Prolonged activation of stress response causes wear and tear in the body, both physical and emotional. So now, just before I jump into a bunch of stats on stress itself, I do want to talk about stress a little bit more in regards to what it actually is. So a lot of people, when they hear stress, they're like, oh, that's really bad, you're stressed, you're this. And yes, stress is a silent killer. And the reason I say that is because some people think that it's really just more of an emotional type of thing that people deal with, and it actually affects you on an actual physical level. So it will kill you if you let it. Like, it literally will kill you. It will creep into your life. It will just become more cumbersome. It will become more part and web itself in your emotional and physical state, and it can cause some serious freaking damage, you guys. Like, stress is no joke. But stress is there from even in our, earliest of days. We would use stress as a tool, as an internal tool in our soul toolbox when we were sensing danger or some kind of threat. So if, let's say, there was an animal that, was right outside of our cave, we would have, or maybe not outside of our cave, but you know what I mean. It was animal close, maybe with our family, and we would have a stress hormone that would be triggered, our fight or flight, that we would either book it, run for the hills, or we would fight that animal and protect our family. This stress hormone was obviously something that we needed in order to, continue to live, to continue to survive and raise our family. We relied on this stress hormone, and it was something that, kept us out of a lot of trouble. It's just something that is ingrained in us. Now, we are in the 21st century, and we are having issues where we have these little triggers every single day. I'm very grateful personally to live in a time where I don't have to worry about woolly mammoths, knocking at my door, trying to fight me or kill me, But the thing is, you kind of have miniature versions of them throughout your day, especially if you're a business owner, if you're a parent, really anybody, anywhere, let's say you don't have any kids, but, you work somewhere and you're dealing with customers. Everybody knows customer service is very difficult, and there's constant triggers, constant stressors. You have bill collectors. We all have bills. Everybody has to pay bills. They either have rent or they have a mortgage or they have, taxes. There's so many different things financially that, hold us back, right? That that are stressors. And then you have just the emotional aspects. A lot of us deal with issues such as anxiety disorders, and they have other related emotional distress issues. I spoke back in a podcast episode about my postpartum anxiety and depression, and I'm very transparent with that because it's a big part of my life of what I had gone through, and I'm very aware of the damage that stress, has on the body. I mean, to be completely transparent, I believe I had a nervous breakdown. Now that I think back on it, I had a lot of symptoms of like a nervous breakdown because I was extremely stressed. My hormones were all out of whack, and even now, at the time of this recording, if I get any kind of stress, I walk away. Like, I know the damage, the punches that stress will give you, and I'm someone that's been through it just like many other people. The only difference is I'm open about it. There are people that deal with stressors every single day and they don't want to talk about it. And that's the problem. Like, that's going to be their demise, if they don't find some kind of outlet. Stress that continues without relief can lead to a condition called distress, which many, many people deal with, especially in today's day and age, a negative stress reaction. Distress can disturb the body's internal balance or equilibrium, leading to physical symptoms such as headaches, an upset stomach, elevated blood pressure, chest pain, sexual dysfunction, and problems sleeping. Now, I'm just talking about stress in regards to how it affects yourself. There are a lot of physical conditions that people get when they are stressed, and they think it's because of other issues. Like some people who are highly stressed, whether they have a tension in their family, tension in their job or workplace, they will think, oh, I think I have IBS, or I think I have some kind of digestive issue. And a lot of times it's caused because of stress. Scientists say that we have a second brain. Like, we have neurons in our stomach that mimics a second brain. And when some people say, oh, I have a bad feeling or in the pit of my stomach, and they're always using these references, like, we have another brain in our, well, theoretically, not really, but it's very similar to our thought processes and the brain that we have upstairs. But a lot of people say, when you have digestive issues, it's because it's like, there's a mind-body connection there, and your stress is affecting your whole entire body. People get psoriasis. I have a family member who gets horrible psoriasis, and that is a stress-related issue. People who get all different types of things, like chronic headaches, they're like, oh, I think I might have some kind of aneurysm, or, and those are very possible. There are people that can get heart conditions from having stress. I mean, stress is no joke, man, and stress affects everybody. Stress affects adults. Stress affects children, especially children of those parents who have extreme stress issues. Like for myself, I definitely deal with stress, and the way I deal with it is very obvious. Like, you could tell when I'm stressed. I wear my heart on my sleeve, which is a good and a bad thing, but people know when I'm stressed. And my goal in my life is to make sure that, I know I deal with this, and it's to make sure I don't have like stressed out vibes in front of my kids, because it affects your children. It affects them a lot, and they see that, they absorb it, and it's so important that they don't pick up that energy, because then as they grow, they'll be more anxious as well. But stress is brutal, man. I'm telling you, stress is really, really bad, and it causes a lot of physical symptoms, like we mentioned, the headaches, the upset stomach, the chest pains. Some people think they're having heart attacks, which it probably could lead to a heart attack. Consistent chest pain is not a good thing. And I know so many people in my personal life that have had, they thought they had angina, they're going for sonograms, they're going for echocardiograms, and it's like, listen, man, stop smoking. Like, stop, dealing with your stress in negative outlets. Like, just get it under control. Emotional problems can also be caused from a result of distress, aka stress. Extreme emotional issues. These problems include depression, panic attacks, or other forms of anxiety and worry. Research suggests that stress can also bring on or worsen certain symptoms of diseases. Stress is linked to 6 of the leading causes of death: heart disease, cancer, lung ailments, accidents, psoriasis of the liver, and suicide. So it's literally it's up there. It's literally in the 6 of the most responsible, deadly, ailments that we deal with in our society. I mean, stress is up there. Stress also becomes harmful when people engage in the compulsive use of substances or behaviors to try to relieve their stress. These substances or behaviors include food, alcohol, tobacco, drugs, gambling, sex, shopping, and the internet. So I will say that, there is a thing called stress eating. And that is something that we will definitely talk on another podcast, because I do want to talk about my personal diet at some point, because it's a little different than most, and it's something that I found that deals with my anxiety so well. Actually got me off of medication, and I'm very grateful for it. But people have something called stress eating, where they'll just eat their feelings, right? Like it's a big joke when people are upset, they break up with their boyfriend or girlfriend and they're eating a bowl of ice cream, like that's a real thing, man. Like it's a real thing, and it shouldn't be glorified, truthfully, because it's a way that we handle our stress, but it's a real thing. And a lot of people who are overweight, they'll say it. They eat because they have a rough job. They have they have issues at home. Like they have issues with their kids. They have issues with, just people, right? In general, they have mental issues. And they will use, ice cream or food as a tool. It's something that I did, for sure. It's a real thing. Rather than relieving the stress and returning the body to a relaxed state, these substances and compulsive behaviors tend to keep the body in a stress state and cause more problems. The distressed person becomes trapped in a vicious cycle. So I will say, not to keep segueing, but it's something that I'm very familiar with. In my life, when I was trying to deal with treating my anxiety and whatnot, what was happening with me was that I don't take any substances. I don't drink. The biggest thing I do is burn incense. That's my nag champa. I love it. But how I was dealing with stress, especially as a breastfeeding mother at the time, I would eat I've been a vegan my whole life, and I would just eat cookies. I'd eat chips, things like that would make me feel better. But it was so temporary that it's almost crazy that I ever thought that would be a good solution, right? If I had a bunch of cookies, I'd be like, oh, this is great. As I'm eating them, it releases dopamine, right? Your sugar spikes up. And then as soon as you come back down, it's you have so much more anxiety, you have so much more stress, and the come down is horrible. And it's this constant cycle of eating like crap to feel better because of the sugar rush and the dopamine levels raising. But then when you have the come down, it sucks, man. It was awful. And it's very similar to people using drugs. Obviously it's worse for people using drugs, but when you're eating food, the fuel that's supposed to, fuel your body, it's a problem, and it makes you feel, sick to your stomach. It's affecting your body, affecting your weight, affecting the way you feel about yourself, the way you feel about others, the way you put your foot out forward for others, they see you in a different light. It's a very vicious cycle, and it's very difficult to come out of. And that's why I have a lot of empathy for, people who deal with mental issues, because so many people don't realize, you don't see it. It doesn't mean that it's not there. So what are some warning signs of stress, right? Because you can see the warning signs. You can see the illnesses that you're suffering from stress. So what are some of the warning signs? So chronic stress can wear down the body's natural defenses, leading to a variety of physical symptoms, including the following: dizziness, or a general feeling of just being out of it, foggy mind, can't really concentrate. Another one is general aches and pains. Some people could say, oh, I think I have Raynaud's, I think I have, arthritis, but they're usually phantom pains. Grinding teeth, clenched jaw. This is something that I never dealt with in my life until I started having bad bouts of anxiety. Headaches, another thing. I never had headaches in my whole entire life until the last 3 years, and it hasn't been about over a year. But when I was going through extreme stress, I was getting horrible headaches. I was getting tinnitus, when you kind of hear, you feel like you hear a heartbeat in your ears. It's very creepy. It's really, really freaked me out. But that was all stress related. Indigestion and acid reflux symptoms, same thing with me. Increase or a loss of appetite. So I didn't get the loss, I got the increase. Muscle tension in neck, face, and shoulders, problems sleeping, racing heart, cold and sweaty palms, tiredness, exhaustion, trembling, shaking, weight gain or loss, upset stomach, diarrhea, or sexual difficulties. Now, stress, is something that is very, very real, and I'm going to go over some of the statistics about stress. The Stress in America survey results show that adults continue to report high levels of stress, and many report that their stress has increased over the past year, according to the American Psychological Association. 75% of adults reported experiencing moderate to high levels of stress in the past month, and nearly half reported that their stress has increased in the past year. Approximately 1 out of 75 people may experience panic disorder. Stress is a top health concern for U.S. teens between 9th and 12th grade. Psychologists say that if they don't learn healthy ways to manage the stress now, it could have serious long-term health implications. 80% of workers feel stress on the job, and nearly half say they need help in learning how to manage stress, and 42% say their coworkers need such help. Stress levels in the workplace are rising, with 6 in 10 workers in major global economies experiencing increased workplace stress, with China having the highest rise in workplace stress at 86%. Alarmingly, 91% of adult Australians feel stress in at least one important area of their lives. Almost 50% feel very stressed about one part of their life. American employees are absent for an average of 3.2 working days each year through stress. This workplace stress costs the American economy approximately $14.2 billion. An estimated 442,000 individuals in Britain who worked in 2007-2008 believe that they were experiencing work-related stress at a level that was making them ill. Depression is among the leading cause of disability worldwide, and fewer than 25% of those with depression worldwide have access to effective treatments. So stress is a very deep issue, and it's rooted in a lot of different things. We have the work culture that many people are suffering from stress. We have the parenting culture. Whether or not you're a work-at-home mom, you're a stay-at-home mom, you're a single mom, you're a married mom, it doesn't matter. It affects everybody in different outlets. We all have our own BS to deal with, and there's a lot of stress for all of us. We can all share the stress together. I mean, that's how bad it is. We live in a very trying time in the world. And, we have economics with stress. I mean, we even have the state of the world. If you're someone that's like me, I'm an environmentalist. I'm someone that's very empathetic to a lot of issues that are happening in our world. I have stress with even looking at the paper. If you want to get down the political route, because we can do that, but I prefer not to. But that right there is stress and a half. You have extreme stress everywhere you go, and there's a lot of uncertainty in what's happening in our future, in our global economy, in our political states. Even environmentally, you read so many different things, and it's very, very scary. There's a lot of different facts out there. There's a lot of stats that we can kind of get hung up on, and I really don't want to make this episode so long where people don't listen, so I'm not going to jump into different categories of stress, but I will say I wanted this to be an inclusive episode, and really, and I try to make all the episodes inclusive, but truthfully, sometimes we have to stay on different topics that may not pertain to everybody, but stress does. So whether or not you have children, whether or not you work in a stressful workplace, in an environment, you're dealing with the public, you're working in nonprofit, you're working in the environmental sector, you're going to be stressed out. And it's very, very important that you take that into consideration in your daily life so you can be the best version of yourself and you don't let this disease, this phantom that wreaks havoc on everything, everyone, everybody, and just take over your life, man. There's so many symptoms, like we mentioned. There are so many symptoms. So if you're someone that feels that you're very stressed, like we went over some of the symptoms earlier, then there are ways that you can combat it. And I'm going to tell you what I did first, and then I'll go into what it's recommended. So for me personally, what I did to battle extreme stress, because there was a period in my time where I was like, this is going to kill me. This is just going to kill me. I can't breathe. I feel like I'm having heart attacks, and I am that person that went to a cardiologist. I did. At 28 years old, I went to a cardiologist, and the cardiologist is just looking at me like, girl, I don't want to see you here for another 50 years. You got to chill out. You got to chill out. And he was very nice, but he told me, he was like, listen, he's like, some doctors would have a field day with you, and I remember him, that's always, I'm always going to remember that because I appreciated the honesty, and I was like, I got to get my anxiety under control. He's like, do yoga, do this, do that, and I think yoga is fantastic. I do. I've had, Melissa Delgodis from, Yoga for Health Long Island on. Yoga's cool, man, but yoga's not really my thing. I like yoga, but I think different things work for different people. So the first thing I did was change my diet. Cut out bread, I cut out sweets. I felt a hell of a lot better in 2 weeks. I felt so good. I felt less inflamed. I started eating more of a whole-based raw foods diet. It felt incredible. And then another thing I did was to stop watching any type of negative media. And that would go for anything politically, regardless, Republican, Democratic, whatever it be. I didn't want to hear it. I just didn't want to hear it. I knew I would get the deets from employees and things like that. I knew I would get the the 411. So I was just like, you know what? I don't need to have this constant stream of negativity in my head. Another thing that I did was to limit what I watched on like YouTube or, even just video outlets. So anything that I deemed to be negative, not including environmental, because I really try to be on top of, keep my hand on the pulse in the palm oil industry and, the fur industry, the animal rights industry, deforestation globally. Like that stuff's, it's funny because that stuff can be very negative, but I have a lot of faith that it's going to turn around. There's a lot of great activists out there. So I don't consider that a stressor in my life. But, listening to different music, right? Like listening to like classical music and not listening to, getting in the weeds, listening to things that can be construed as negative that might get in my head and might make me feel negative thoughts or just give me stress. I really had to do a digital detox for a little while. Another thing that helped me, and this is for all of you listening out there who suffer with extreme anxiety, I am with you, I feel you, and I think the best thing you can do is to be present. Like, wherever you are, if you're feeling like you're having a panic attack, which is the worst thing to go through, just stop, breathe, just breathe. Don't do shallow breaths, like breathe, like breathe out, like breathe. Like that's such a big thing. If I could rock one shirt with one word on it, it would literally be breathe. Because we don't breathe deep enough, we don't breathe strong enough, we don't breathe hard enough, and we don't breathe often enough. As funny as it sounds, we're constantly breathing shallow, and that does help with stress, just actually breathing. So breathe, hold your breath in, breathe out slowly, get control of your heart rate, because when you get control of your heart rate, you get control of your nerves, and be mindful of where you are. So stand outside, feel the grass, take your shoes off, maybe touch whatever's out there, flowers, whatever. Just grab it, be mindful, and think of thoughts that are positive, because that's going to help you a lot. And the last thing I started to do, actually recently, because I'm a workaholic, is to spend more time with my family. So at the time of this recording, we're actually preparing for our first big family trip to Yellowstone National Park, and I haven't been there in over 10 years, and I'm really excited to go. It's there was an episode that we did with author Richard Louv on nature deficit disorder. Now, being out in nature in any form, whether it be cold, whether it be hot, whatever season, is going to be extremely beneficial on you. There's a lot of things that happen when you're out in nature. There's the absence of technology, unless you have your phone with you. There's just breathing in the elements. There's just being outside, being spiritually connected, being physically connected, as corny as it sounds. And it's just being very present of where you are and taking your mind off a lot of things, and even just kicking it with your family, like just spending time with your kids, spending time with your husband, your wife, whatever your situation is, just spending time with the people around you that you love is something that I've been using as like a stressing mechanism, right? And get sleep. Get freaking sleep. We are so underslept as a society. We're so underslept. Take it from me. I was getting like 4 hours of sleep and I was bragging about it. Ooh, I only need 4 hours of sleep. You cannot wake me up before 8 hours of sleep now. I mean, some people probably do need less, but you need to get to sleep. You need to sleep. Get some sleep. And you'll feel a lot better. But according to WebMD, there's actually some documented proof that certain things will help with stress. And like I mentioned, one of them is breathing. The simple strategy is a powerful stress fighter. It helps you lower stress hormones, lower your heart rate, and bring down your blood pressure. Number 2 is to meditate. This ancient practice relaxes your mind and body. I had a problem meditating, to be completely honest with you. I'm so like ADHD, but one day I hope to, meditate appropriately. For several minutes each day, sit quietly and comfortably. While you do this, focus your mind on one of these things. You're breathing, an object, a specific word or phrase. As thoughts and distractions intrude, gently push them away, return to your focus. You can do this daily alone or with friends. Number 3, very important, is to exercise. To get your heart rate up with an aerobic exercise. Walk, cycle, or swim. Just 20 minutes a day will help you calm your mind and lower your stress hormones. Also, it really does help to get you fit, right? Like 20 minutes a day. You'd be surprised. Bang out a bunch of push-ups, do some jumping jacks, do some jump ropes. You don't have to go to a gym. I try to go to a gym 10 times. I pay for the year for a gym membership because I get a discount. I go 3 times. I find it better if I work out at home, but that's just me because I'm also an introvert. But just 20 minutes a day will help calm your mind and lower your stress hormones, and it's really going to make you feel better about yourself, build your confidence up, and really just help you stand straight. Just changes the way that you look. Practice guided imagery. So this is actually an interesting one. This technique has the same relaxation benefits of like deep breathing. So here's how it works. Sit somewhere quiet and picture yourself in a calm and peaceful place, such as a beach. Imagine walking through this place and taking in the sights, sounds, and the smells. While your imagination is working, breathe slowly and breathe deeply. Keep this up until you are fully relaxed. Ease back slowly into the real world. To get started, you can search online for podcasts that will talk you through the process. Nurses, counselors, therapists, and other professionals can also help you learn how to do this on your own. So a lot of times if you find like a psychologist or a therapist or someone that, is talking you through your problems, oftentimes they will recommend something like this. And again, this is about being present as well, or, meditating, doing some kind of meditation. Number 5 is to eat well. Foods rich in vitamin C, like oranges and grapefruits, may help lower your stress hormones. Omega-3s, like found in salmon or other fatty fish, or vegan omega-3s that you can certainly get because, that's good too. Those may be calming. In general, fueling your body well with a balanced diet can help keep your body healthy and also able to handle stress. Part of eating well means focusing on getting whole grains, vegetables, and fruits. So another thing is possibly dark chocolate may have a calming effect by lowering your stress hormones. I guess that's true. For me, I have a sweet tooth, so I'd probably eat the whole bar of chocolate and then get like an anxiety attack. I'm just being honest. I'm just gonna put that out there. No shade, WebMD, but I'm just saying for those of us who can't handle the chocolates, we have to tread lightly. Number 6 is talk positively to yourself. Being self-critical can add to your stress, so try the opposite approach. Help yourself relax by practicing self-talk. Positive self-talk. Replace negative thoughts with positive ones. In other words, be a little engine that could. Tell yourself, I think I can, rather than I know I can't. I will say that this is a big one because for a long time I was somebody that talked down to myself, and now I'm like my biggest MVP, right? Like I'm my biggest fan. I'm constantly giving myself compliments. Even if I don't believe it, I'm just saying it anyway. Because why say you look bad when you can say you look good and feel better, at least not feel bad about it? And that's with anything that I do in my life, whether it be professionally, whether it be socially. I'm always like just laughing at my own jokes. I just really try to be like good to myself. Tell yourself you think you can rather than you can't, because it's ridiculous. Like you are what you think you are, pretty much, right? So you might as well just think you're fantastic. And even if you are really just good, at least you're better than saying that, oh, I suck, right? Just take care of yourself, love yourself, because not many people in your life will love you, right? Like your family will, your friends will, but that's about it. Unless you're like some famous celebrity or something like that, you gotta take care of yourself. You gotta really be mindful of who you're talking to, and understand that when you look in the mirror, don't look at the grays, don't look at the fact that you might be wrinkling, don't look at Father Time. Look at the fact that you're breathing. You're a miracle, regardless of your religious beliefs. It's amazing that you're there. So love yourself, because no one else is going to do it for you. Number 7 is to sleep well. Getting a good night's sleep can help you fight stress the next day. Go for at least 7 hours a night. Try these tips if you are having trouble. Try to go to bed and wake up at the same time every day, even on the weekends. Avoid caffeine after 3 p.m. and alcohol close to bedtime. Damn, avoid caffeine after 3 p.m. What if you go to bed at like 10? I actually can't have caffeine because I freak out, but that's interesting. If you take naps, do so early in the day rather than too close to bedtime. Exercise regularly and try to exercise early in the day. Now, I actually exercise when I wake up. I practice something called the Miracle Morning, and it's by Hal Elrod, and I highly recommend if you are someone that's dealing with stress, you're looking to revamp your life, you're looking to really just get into shape, you're looking to get mental clarity, you're looking to just refocus and reset, right? Just to shake yourself, shake all the negative out, just bring the positive in. I highly recommend doing like the Miracle Morning. And it's really just about waking up early and doing these things called savers, scribing, affirmations, visions, like not visions, but like visual, like having like a dream board. Then you have exercise, reading, and scribing. I forgot what the other one was. It was something. I forgot what the other one was. I'm probably going to get a bunch of hate mail. But there's savers, and they're awesome. And I don't do all of them every morning, but I do some of them pretty much every day, right? Like I read every morning, I exercise every morning. And exercise could be like doing push-ups, right? Exercise usually for me is planking, because planking's difficult for me. So I try to do planking, squats, do 100 squats a day. Just really do like weird stuff, just try to like shake it up. And it helps. I'm telling you, it really, really helps. It even just sets the intention for the day that you're not playing games, that you're taking the reins of the day, and it's your day, right? Like, you're going to get the most out of this day. And I think that's a lot would, add stress to people, because when they're not getting a lot of sleep, they're waking up, they're slamming that alarm clock. They're like, damn, they're running, they're getting late, they're late. They're doing the best that they can. They're not feeling good. That adds to stress, man. That adds to stress. Like, when you're on top of your day, that reduces your stress because you're in control. Being out of control is something that really, really, really does affect you. It really does. Now, we went over what stress was. We went over, the symptoms of stress. We went over ways that you can cure stress. But another thing is that with stress is, that it can affect your family. And if that's the case, I highly recommend doing what I did, and that's spending more time with your kids and not having like stress-related issues in front of them. So my kids can often tell when I'm upset or if I'm stressed out or something, whatever it is. It could be the smallest thing, but they immediately know when I'm upset. And I am extremely, extremely receptive of that. So my oldest daughter, I worry that she has a little bit of anxiety issues, and I'm really trying to nip that in the butt because I don't want that for her. But, we're all human, right? So like as soon as you find this information out, you do the best you can to be the best version of yourself in front of your children so it doesn't affect your family. So this trip is very big for us, and it is going to be a great step back to reevaluating the intention that I have for my family, the tone, the vibe, spending good time together, and really just breaking any barriers that stress has caused between, my family and I, because stress is a real thing and it affects everybody. And, for those people who think, oh, well, you own a business, or you have this, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Stress affects everybody. I don't care where you're from. I don't care who you are. I don't care who you're with. Stress affects everybody, and it does not discriminate. So please do share this episode with anybody you can who may be suffering from stress, who may be having stress-related illnesses, because there's ways that you can really nip it in the butt. You can cut stress out of your life. It's going to happen. Stress is a natural, biological thing that we deal with, because that's what we dealt with when we were, forming, right? Like, stress is everywhere. Stress is everywhere. We deal with stress every single day, but it's the way that you handle stress that's going to really change the way that stress affects you. Bring the stress in very momentarily, handle the situation, and let it go. Don't let that become a part of you. Don't take that through your day-to-day. Don't constantly stress about things that have happened. It's over. Start the new day. Wash your face and move forward. That's how you will tackle stress. Do not let it take over you, and don't let it become part of you. Like, even when I say my anxiety, that's not me. I don't want that anxiety. Maybe that day I was anxious, but the next day I'm going to be less anxious. It's a constant battle you'll deal with every single day for the rest of your life. But if you have the right tools at your disposal, you will, not be a victim of stress that claims hundreds of thousands of people a year. So thank you all so much for tuning in to another episode of the Nature's Premier Podcast. We definitely appreciate you, and I will check you back again on the next episode. Take care, friends.